Tensions in Eastern Africa are nearing a boiling point as the Rwandan government fiercely defends its position against accusations of backing the M23 rebels in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. In a scathing statement issued on January 26, 2025, Rwanda slammed what it called misguided or manipulative statements from international actors, arguing that such rhetoric fails to address the root causes of the crisis. But with M23 rebels advancing around Goma and escalating violence spilling closer to Rwanda's borders, one can't help but wonder, is Rwanda truly a victim of misplaced blame, or is there more to this unfolding drama? The accusations against Rwanda are damning. The DRC government, supported by reports from the United Nations and various international organizations, alleges that Rwanda has been supplying the M23 rebels with troops, weapons, and logistical support. These claims are backed by eyewitness accounts, intelligence leaks, and findings from UN experts. Critics argue that Kigali's actions constitute a brazen violation of international law, destabilizing an already fragile region. Yet Rwanda insists it is being unfairly scapegoated, pointing out that the M23, a Congolese Tutsi rebel group, emerged to protect their community against ethnic violence. If that's the case, why are so many fingers still pointed at Rwanda? In its statement, Rwanda claims,
misguided or manipulative statements do not provide any solutions. The ongoing conflict in eastern DRC, particularly the recent heady fighting around Goma, was triggered by constant violations of the ceasefire by the Congolese armed forces in coalition with the UN-sanctioned genocidal militia, FDLR, European mercenaries, ethnic militia, Burundian armed forces, SANMI-DRC forces, as well as MONUSCO troops. This fighting close to the Rwandan border continues to present a serious threat to Rwanda's security and territorial integrity, and necessitates Rwanda's sustained defensive posture. It is important to recall that the resurgence of M23 in late 2021 did not originate in Rwanda, although the government of DRC has scapegoated Rwanda as the Congolese Tutsi community that the M23 represents are conflated with Rwanda. The M23, a Congolese rebel group fighting to protect their community in eastern DRC, cannot be accused of violating territorial integrity of their own country.
The conflict reached new levels of urgency this week after M23 rebels captured additional territory in North Kivu, delivering a devastating blow to the Congolese coalition. Among the casualties was North Kivu Governor Carly Nzanzu Kasavita, who was reportedly assassinated during the fighting. Adding to the chaos, key military leaders on the government side, including the FDLR commander Pacifican Tawamguka, also known as Omega, were killed in action. Even the South Africa-led SADC mission and UN forces suffered losses, further exposing the fragility of the coalition's operations. With M23 now threatening to march on Goma, how much longer can the DRC withstand this relentless onslaught? Amid the growing regional instability, Rwandan President Paul Kagame traveled to Turkey on January 23, 2025, for high-level talks with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. This visit, Kagame's first official trip to Turkey, raised eyebrows as it coincided with heightened conflict in the DRC. While the official agenda focused on strengthening bilateral ties, Kagame's visit to Turkish defense companies like Baykar and Aselsan sent a strong signal. Baykar, famous for its Bayraktar TB2 drones that have reshaped warfare in Ukraine and Libya, presented Kagame with cutting-edge military technology. Is Rwanda gearing up for a more direct confrontation with the DRC, or is this a strategic move to bolster its defensive capabilities? Turkey, meanwhile, has offered to mediate the dispute, with Erdogan expressing willingness to help resolve the conflict if both Rwanda and the DRC are open to dialogue. Yet, critics remain skeptical of Turkey's neutrality given its growing ties with Rwanda. Could Erdogan's overtures of peace merely be a guise for advancing Turkey's own geopolitical interests in Africa? As the international community struggles to mediate, the specter of war looms larger than ever. Rwanda has emphasized its defensive posture, claiming that its actions are necessary to protect its borders from the spillover effects of the conflict. However, this justification has done little to quell suspicions. Some analysts argue that Rwanda's actions could be seen as a calculated power move, leveraging the M23 to assert control over eastern DRC's lucrative mineral resources. Is this a case of regional power politics disguised as self-defense? The situation is further complicated by the ethnic dimension of the conflict. Rwanda's support for the M23, which represents Congolese Tutsis, has reignited historical tensions between Hutus and Tutsis in the Great Lakes region. By framing its involvement as a response to the persecution of Tutsis in eastern DRC, Rwanda risks reopening old wounds that could plunge the entire region into chaos. Is the region on the verge of reliving the horrors of the 1994 genocide? Or is this a necessary step to protect a marginalized community? The stakes could be higher as both Rwanda and the DRC appear to be doubling down on their positions. While Rwanda vehemently denies direct involvement with the M23, its actions and rhetoric suggest a more complex picture. Meanwhile, the DRC's coalition, weakened and fragmented, faces an uphill battle to regain control of North Kivu. The international community, though vocal in its condemnation of Rwanda, has yet to present a unified strategy to address the conflict. Are we witnessing a failure of diplomacy, or is this a calculated gamble by powerful actors to exploit the region's chaos? In the end, the fate of eastern DRC, and perhaps the entire Great Lakes region, hangs in the balance. The conflict has exposed deep-seated divisions, both within the region and among the international community. As President Kagame returns from Turkey, armed with potential military support and emboldened by his government's rhetoric, the question remains: is Rwanda preparing for peace or positioning itself for a larger role in the escalating conflict? The international community must act swiftly and decisively to prevent a full-scale war, but the path forward is far from clear. Rwanda's insistence on being a victim of misplaced blame, coupled with its alleged support for M23, has created a diplomatic minefield. At the same time, the DRC's reliance on controversial alliances has further muddied the waters. Without urgent intervention, the region risks spiraling into a catastrophic conflict that could destabilize Africa for decades to come. Your perspective matters. Do you think we are on the brink of an all-out war between the DRC and Rwanda? Share your thoughts and insights in the comments section below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the New Africa channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our informative future videos. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for watching.